Good. Yeah, thank you. I'm Louise Heavin. I'm the mayor here in Athlone, and as Alan has said, I'm also an architect. And my interest in architecture has stemmed from growing up here in Athlone. My teenage years were spent in my dad's shop here in the town, in a place called Golden Island, if you know it. And I've seen the town change enormously. Those teenage years we now call Celtic Tiger, or the boom. So there's an awful lot of construction going on in that time. And I was fortunate enough to witness it, and I was also fortunate enough to go into university and spend my time in university when everybody was going through one of the toughest times in the construction, for the construction industry. I'm now the mayor, and it's a real privilege to be in this position. We're currently drafting up the new urban area plan for the town, which will chart the development of the town for the next number of years. And we are a regional growth centre, and we're set to double in size. So it's really important when we're drafting that plan that we, draft it in a sustainable way, that we grow in the right way, that we create a town that people want to live in, want to travel to, want to grow up in, want to start a business in, and that's sustainable, that people can walk around and move around quite easily. So that's really, really important for me personally as the mayor here. I have worked with BIM. I spent a number of years in the UK. I studied in the UK and worked in Birmingham. In 2012, I started my job there, and I was actually fortunate enough to be starting as the company was moving over to BIM and to Revit at the time. I was on one of the first pilot projects in my office in Birmingham, and I was fortunate enough to get a pat on the back from the CFO because it was one of the more cost-efficient projects, so they could see the benefits in investing in it and in rolling it out. And at the time, the UK government led that in asking everybody to get to BIM Level 2 for their public projects. So I was involved in kind of mucky work in trying to get projects up to standard, to the BIM Level 2 standard, and incorporate new systems like the MBS at the time. Equally, I know the limitations that new software can bring. Working with existing buildings, I found particularly difficult. I don't know if that's changed now. And I know, as well as that, I have my own business here in the town, and I know the difficulty in trying to actually move everybody over to a software, the investment that's needed, the time. The Irish construction industry, a colleague put it to me recently, is like this. It goes up and down. You're either too much work or you don't have enough work and you're looking for some. It never goes like this. So rolling things out for a lot of people and for small businesses can be really difficult, and they need to be supported to do that. But in doing that, you'll get an efficiency. You'll be able to do good environmental modelling, and as we have our changing climate now, we need to be doing modelling. We need to make sure that we're not going to be overheating people, that we're ready for climate adaptation. And on that note, something that is really dear to my heart is around reuse of buildings. The AR, the Architectural Review, recently had a magazine out and dedicated their last issue to demolishing nothing, because, and they said, the editors, today it's clear that all buildings must be saved and readapted, that resource scarcity facing us makes hardly any act of demolition justifiable. And I know for many people here, that's really, really difficult. It's really difficult to work with existing buildings. It's really difficult to put them into our computer softwares, to put in new windows into old buildings and put in new M&E systems into old buildings. That's difficult, and that's a challenge, and a challenge we have to face. But 40% of our global emissions come from the built environment, 11% from construction. That's global emissions. So that's something that we have the power to tackle ourselves. And I think, and especially as we look at the town in Athlone, we have a lot of old industrial areas, old industrial buildings. We have a high street up in Connacht Street that's half derelict. And it's not just the right thing to do in terms of carbon, but the right thing to do for a town to hold that history. And you get a very rich building project when you reuse an existing building. So I would encourage everybody to think of that going forward. I would also encourage you, while you're here, to get out and enjoy the town if you can at all. We have a new bridge here that's part of the Dublin to Galway Greenway. I don't know if anybody cycled here today, but fair play if you did. And that's a wonderful addition to the town. You know, the first bridge across the Shannon in 100 years, you know, and it really has made an impact and kind of said, you know, we're a town for living in and for spending time in, not just for driving through. So thank you all for coming here and for inviting me to speak, and I wish you a very productive day.
Thanks, Louise.